Hey everybody, welcome to the Making of an Exception podcast. Today we've got Paul Weaver.
Come on.
What's up, man?
How's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for being here.
I'm honored to be on this podcast.
Honored to have you. If you don't know who Paul is, you're missing out. Paul is the founder of Activ Media. He's a content creator, photographer, marketing guru. I don't know if you call yourself a guru, but I will.
That's incredible.
Just hyper talented. And his story is amazing of just even the last few years journey, getting married. Faith journey is awesome. But even how you got into the creative world, some of your stories, fake it to make it. We're going to get into it. But thanks so much for being here again.
Yeah, thank you.
I love you. Your wife, Sammy, is amazing as well.
I'm lucky.
You are lucky. It's awesome. But yeah, tell us a little bit as we start. Tell us a little bit more about what you do. What is Activ Media?
Yeah.
Who you are, Paul.
Yeah, so Activ Media is kind of the current project that I'm working on. I've always had this idea of starting something that can fuel businesses and help businesses scale. And I would say graduating from the U of M 4 years ago and
What'd you study there?
So I studied economics.
Yep.
Which is actually crazy because I'm now doing, I'm the founder of a media company where we service professional photography and videography, take e-commerce brands to help them scale. And it's been such an incredible journey.
Yes.
And that's kind of the current season that I'm in.
Yeah, it's awesome. What are you spending most of your time doing, like in your workday? You started as a photographer, but now are you still doing shoots, or is a lot of your time like consulting?
Yeah.
Businesses?
Yeah. So it started off as a photographer in high school, went to the U of M, studied economics because it was like the only business program that would at the U of M that would let me come in not being a part of Carlson.
Yeah.
So I studied economics, graduated from the U, went freelance for a little bit, and I actually got offered a job at an agency in St. Louis Park, which was an incredible opportunity as a lead producer on their team for commercial fashion brands.
Yep.
And after being there for about a year, I decided, this was probably like 6 months ago, to leave and to start something that I've always wanted to start, which is a multifaceted media company where I'm able to kind of be the client-facing person, but also take people on my team and bring them through the process of how can we take a brand that is that aligns themselves with our values, and we help them scale and get in front of the right people. So
wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
One of the things that I know about you is, well, one, you're one of the most friendly people out there.
Totally.
One of the nicest dudes.
Yeah.
But you somehow, like, you're not a networker type, like in the sense of like hungry to like just get a bunch of contacts, but you somehow, people know who you are, and you know so many different people in different industries, different age groups, different veins, like throughout the city, and even nationally. You do a lot of travel as well. How did you develop that skill set or gift to not like come across as like, hey, let me get your number, or hey, like let me get in this room, or hey, you want to network sometime? Like, who says that? Nobody says that.
Yeah.
But actually, people do say that, which is crazy. But you don't come across as this dude that's just trying to like I'm a networker, But you're well networked. If that makes sense. How did that happen?
Yeah, I would say just going back to high school. When I was in high school, I tried being somebody that, I was hungry for attention. I was almost trying to be someone that I wasn't. And it wasn't until college that I realized that God had given me this gift of like, kind of like, I'm like the most extroverted person you'll ever meet. And like, that's something that I'm just wired with to begin with.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of comes from my mom. But yeah, I just find that connecting with people is what really fuels me. But even more on top of that, it's how do I show people the love of God through me? And that's transformed my business, my relationships, and just kind of the way that I do business in general.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, it for sure comes out of you. I remember the first time hanging out, And I was like, am I best friends with this guy? I'm pretty sure I'm best friends with him. And I think you make everybody feel that way.
Totally.
Like just you enjoy people's company and you make them feel special, which is awesome, which in turn just makes you a special person. Where were you raised?
Yeah. Grew up in Maple Grove.
Yep.
With an incredible family. I have a younger brother and older brother.
Chad.
What's
your older brother's name?
Corey. Yep. You met them obviously because you pastored my wedding.
Yes.
And little background. Grew up in Maple Grove. Always was really interested in sports, baseball, basketball. You
don't look that athletic, but I'm just kidding. If you're not watching on YouTube right now, he's 0% body fat and jacked out of his mind. We're really splitting images of each other.
Totally. Yeah, I think I get it from you.
Yes.
But yeah, grew up in Maple Grove, went to Osseo High School, played sports. I was like the spirit leader, the obnoxious dude at lunch that like...
Not spiritual leader.
Spirit leader.
Spirit,
yes.
like...
Yep.
Like high school pride.
Sports.
Yeah.
Yep. Went to Osseo High School. It was such an incredible experience just being around so many different cultures.
Colors are orange and black, right?
Yep.
Okay. That means
Osseo
nothing
Orioles.
for anybody, but it's just picture. Osseo Orioles, that's right.
Yep. So yeah, going to Osseo, and then just growing up I grew up in a Catholic family, and we would always go to church on Sundays. And then during the school year on Wednesdays, we'd go to, I think it was like church confirmation class.
Yep.
And I wasn't really, during that time, pursuing my faith. And I didn't really truly know like who God was.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a huge part of my story. And my parents, incredible people, brought me up in the church. My dad was raised Presbyterian. My mom was raised Catholic.
Yep.
So I feel like it was what they knew, and it's what they know. And it was just growing up in a Catholic family.
For you, when you were a kid, obviously you're going to church every Sunday. Mm-hmm. So you would have described yourself, I'm a Christian because we go to church.
Totally.
And I'm Catholic.
Yeah.
You know? That was people would ask me like, what type of church, and I would say I'm a Christian, and they would say, well, what religion,
Totally.
and they're looking for like Catholic or Lutheran.
Yeah.
So is that how you just describe yourself growing up? Like, I'm a Catholic Christian.
Totally.
Do you think so you said, but I didn't really have a relationship with God. Do you think that was not the fault of the church, but like maybe that's not what they were teaching it like, or was it you not paying attention?
I think both.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'm like this super hyper kid going to church class, like sugared up on candy. You know what I mean? So I definitely wasn't paying attention. Yeah. But also during that time, I wasn't able to, I had no connection whatsoever. And I feel like I was just going out of routine, and it wasn't my decision to go necessarily. Yeah. And I think that's been a huge turning point in my faith is when I made it a personal decision. Yeah. Rather than just going to show up.
Yeah. So your perspective of who God was, or your relationship with the Lord, or how you make it to heaven as a kid, what was some of that thought process? Or was it not really, you were just, I'm doing sports and I'm Catholic, so we're good?
Yeah, honestly, it was exactly that. Yeah. Like there was certain rules that I felt like were in place just because we learned those in like Wednesday church class. And also on Sundays, they would normally preach on it. But yeah, I just never felt this intimate connection whatsoever. But I, labeled myself as Catholic. Yeah. And friends of mine at school would be like, wow, Paul, you're so religious. And honestly, I kind of chuckle at that now because I'm not religious. I just have a strong faith. Yeah. And I think that's just a label that was put on me at that time because of the kind of the religion that I was practicing from the outside, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I think a line that can be cliche, like if you've been raised in the church, but it can actually be really powerful for somebody hearing it for the first time, that religion is much different than a relationship with Jesus, Totally. And Jesus, the people that while he walked this planet, that he
kind of came up against was the religious leaders of the day.
Totally.
And so same thing. People thought I was religious growing up.
Yep.
But I was raised in a church and in a family that I had a relationship with the Lord. I knew the truth. I just ran from it in high school.
Wow.
But I would say that even as a kid, like we go to church. We're not religious though. We have a relationship with Jesus,
Totally.
know? So
Yeah.
I think
That's
people
good.
even listening today, they might be connecting that dot for the first time.
Yeah.
People thought you were religious.
Yep.
And what is in a second we're going to talk about your whole career, how it took off and how it started, which is exciting. Doing photos for Macklemore. I'll let you get into it in a second. But how did you? What was the process like for you making your faith your own? Just from being drugged to church by your parents, this is just what we do. This is who we are. We're Catholic.
Yeah.
To there's something actually real to all of this, and it can be personal to you.
Totally.
And it is a relationship.
Yep.
What was that journey like? When did that happen?
Yeah, I would say from the beginning, high school, and even like my freshman, sophomore year of college, church wasn't even something I even thought about because I had been so burned by it in a way where I just felt like I was kind of being forced just to show up.
Yeah.
Where when friends of mine in college at the U of M would invite me to church on Sundays, I'd be like, oh man, that's not for me. You know what I mean? And
So this is even just a few years ago.
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I give people this analogy of I was sitting in my dorm room freshman year.
Yep.
And just picture like me in the kitchen with like a plate full of food. But the only food that was on my plate was like a cup of ramen, right?
Yeah.
But like I look at my plate today and it's just like Thanksgiving dinner every day because of the abundance of love that he's provided me.
Wow.
And that's because of the personal decision that I made. And the way that came about was this is kind of where my wife comes into the picture. I would say about 2 years ago, I was trying to build my photography business where I was just reaching out to fashion bloggers in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And I was sitting at Spy House Coffee down the street, and I connected with this incredible woman, Sammy. And I reached out to her and said, hey, we should shoot. A bunch of my friends that I met from school were like, you should totally connect.
She was a fashion blogger.
Fashion blogger at the time, yeah. So it's crazy because there's this space right next to Spy House.
Yep.
And at the time, 2 years ago, it was empty. So we shot in there, and it was great. And we took photos, whatever. And I was dating someone at the time.
Yep.
So like it didn't even cross my mind that, this.
I almost said rest in peace, but then I was like, she's not dead. And then I was like, I think she's not dead. Sorry.
No, but it didn't even like cross my mind that I was like a bit attracted to her.
Yeah.
Because when I shoot, it's business.
Yeah.
And I make that.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're a creeper.
Otherwise, I'm a creeper. But what was so cool about it was we connected over photography. And this was just like, I'd say 3 years ago. And we were both at the U of M. It was great. We never met at school, but we met through mutual friends, right?
Yeah.
So we're at Spy House, the kind of like a space right next to Spy House Coffee here in Minneapolis. And she's like, hey, she was great. Do you know River Valley Church? And I'm like, I used to go to River Valley Church, but I only went once, and it was at Mini Trista location.
Yeah.
And she's like, did you know that there's a River Valley in Minneapolis?
This is Sammy.
This is Sammy.
Yeah.
And I was blown away. I'm like, how this girl is inviting me to church, a photo shoot, right?
Yeah.
And it was just me and her shooting. And that next Sunday, I went to River Valley Church. And I would say that the minute I walked in that door, I was hit. It's emotional to even talk about because I experienced the love of God and his grace and his forgiveness the minute worship happened. And I sat in the middle of the crowd by myself, and I made the mistake of wearing like a light green sweatshirt because everybody could see me. But it was such an intimate moment for me with the Lord. And at that moment, the Lord put the words on my heart, let these chains be broken, and I need you to follow me and trust in me. And it literally became clear as day in that moment that I had the opportunity to make a personal decision to pursue him, and it was no longer my parents, it was no longer anyone else's decision. So yeah, I guess a part of that story, fast forward to I guess 6 months after that, I got water baptized at River Valley by yourself, actually, which was absolutely incredible.
I remember.
Yeah. And my wife now is Sammy. I married Sammy, and you are the one that officiated our wedding. And I am now working at the space where we had done that photo shoot next to Spy House.
That blank space
space is now where I'm working. And yeah, it's just been such an incredible journey. And I guess that's the shortened version.
Yeah.
But I went from not knowing who the Lord was after going to church for my entire
Your
childhood.
whole life, yeah.
I couldn't even tell you anything.
I think
at the time, yeah.
I think there's a bunch of people out there that are raised in church like you were. Even more than just there's people that were raised going to Christmas and Easter.
Yep.
Or even hearing some of the Bible stories, people would know like, okay, Moses is the guy that went through the Red Sea and delivered.
Yeah.
Like David is the guy that killed Goliath. I think there's some people that, but even more than that, like there's people that they went to church every Sunday. You know, and here's what I think is cool with your story, because it's proof of what I'm about to say, is that you could be raised in church, hear all the stories, and not know Jesus, and not have a personal relationship or encounter with the living God personally, which is wild. And that sounds like a negative on whether it's the Catholic Church or whatever it is.
Totally.
But it's not really a negative in this sense, because I think people can encounter God.
Yeah.
In the Catholic Church, I think,
totally.
You know, there can be moments like that, but you had this structure and these bones that were built into you as a child. And I think because of that, and it's a testament to your parents, because your parents brought you to church because it's what they knew. You said that.
Yes.
Like, that's what they knew.
Yep.
And they raised you in church. You had this structure and foundation, and then you go to a church that is preaching it a little bit differently, that it's not by your good works, it's not by your hard work, it's not by your own will of, you know, religion of doing the right things to make it to heaven, but it's because of what Jesus has done for you. It's a free gift. I think that the way your parents raised you set you up for that moment walking into River Valley, and you sense the presence of God in worship, and God is saying all those stories that you heard growing up about this distant God that you didn't have a relationship with. It's me.
Totally.
And it's like a moment where God talks to you, and you recognize him for the first time, that he's speaking to you, you know? And so I just wanted to say that it's a testament to your parents. It's a testament to any church that's telling these Bible stories, and they may not, you know, wrap it around that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. It's a free gift. Doesn't matter where you've been, what you've done, who you are, but you can receive the gift of salvation. You can receive forgiveness. It's a free gift, you know.
It's amazing.
By the belief in your heart, the confession of your mouth that Jesus is Lord, you will be saved. Like even if they're not wrapping it up like that, there's good that comes from the Bible. There's good that comes from being in the church. And I think it set you up to recognize God's voice in that moment. And that was your story. And I think there's people listening today that were raised exactly like you, and they haven't had that moment. But maybe they're having that moment right now, you know, as they listen to this podcast. Maybe I just believe that no matter where you are, God can reveal himself to you. And he's powerful enough to do that. You know, you could be in your car listening to this podcast, and you're going to have to pause it. And God's speaking to you right now.
100%. That's amazing.
So it's amazing. It's awesome.
Yeah.
What a journey.
It's good.
And we'll get into like kind of you and Sammy, your marriage, and what you guys are dreaming for. We'll get into that a little bit. I'd love for you to kind of walk us through just your creative journey. You know, you grew up playing sports. How did you, like, I feel this way a little bit. I grew up playing hockey and golf, and kind of all the sports, like when you're in middle school, elementary school, but hockey and golf were kind of my two major sports through high school. But then I played piano, you know, it's like, and music started to take over my life, and creativity and all that. That's how eventually when I gave my life to the Lord when I was 18, like I rededicated my life, I was like, well, I'm going to go into the ministry and I'm going to do worship. So I took a hard right turn out of sports and out of that world. How did you take a turn into creativity and photography and to where you're at now?
Totally. Yeah, I would say, like, if I look back at it, it wasn't even like a choice that I made. It was something that just kind of came natural. Back in high school, I was, you know, spirit leader, played on the baseball team, played basketball, I played basketball as well at Osseo. And then around junior year, I started going to a lot of music concerts in the Twin Cities. And my dad had like a Canon T2i, which is like a really basic.
I don't know what that is. Sounds epic.
It sounds epic, but at the time it was like the camera.
Yeah.
And to this day, like it's like a good beginner's camera.
Yeah.
So to the beginners out there, you should probably get the Canon T2i.
Nice.
So my dad let me use his camera. And like when I wasn't practicing for sports, my parents were dropping me off at concerts downtown because I was just so interested in the music scene.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to like know more. Like I want to know how that artist is behind the scenes, if you will.
Yeah.
So I would take pictures from the crowd. And then following that show, I would send them the photos.
Send the artist.
I would send
They
the
didn't
artist the
request it,
photos
just you sent
without them even knowing who I am.
Yep.
I would send the photos to their email.
Yeah.
And then normally their management would either get back to me saying like, these photos are cute, thanks, bye. Or they wouldn't respond. Or they would respond saying like, can we use these? These are incredible.
Yeah.
But at that time, I didn't really know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, through high school, playing sports, which once I got to senior year, I'm like, I'm not going to be the next Joe Mauer, if you will.
Yep.
And I'm not going to be on like in the NBA. So I started just really pursuing photography because it was just something that was a great outlet for me to connect with people.
Yeah.
So as a extrovert, you know, went from class clown to kid on this, you know, baseball, basketball team that had like a bunch of friends.
Yep.
To being like, wow, I can use photography to connect with people outside of my school, outside of my hometown. Especially at the time, there was like Twitter and a few other social media platforms that were popping up. So I really just, you know, pursued it as like, hey, I want to do this to see what happens, like what people I can get in front of.
Yep.
And at the time, I have to say, a lot of people doubted me.
Yeah.
A lot of people told me that, like close people to me. Like,
now's your time to tell them, dude. Tell them as they're listening to this podcast.
But I gotta say, it's cool. It's encouraging now to think back at it because, you know, when you're a senior in high school and you're applying for colleges and stuff, the last thing your parents want to hear is, "Hey, I want to be a full-time photographer."
Right.
Like, come on, you know what I mean? And I feel like through people telling me that it wasn't possible, it's the only reason why I was able to make it possible.
Wow.
Because I have to say, like, it took a whole lot of work to get to this point.
Yep.
I tell people, a lot of people don't know this, but it takes 10 no's to get one yes. And I'll talk on that a little bit more in a minute. But it's just been super cool to see how a kid, senior in high school, shooting concerts from the crowd, turned into now owning a media company in the North Loop. And it took me overcoming people literally telling me, you're crazy. Like, you're going to the U of M for economics degree. You should work at this Fortune 500 company. You shouldn't start your own photography business.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What was the moment where you realized, like, okay, I've been having fun. This is nice, but I can do this thing. Like what?
Totally.
Like, there had to be a light bulb moment. I've heard some of the stories, but like holy smokes, I'm doing this thing.
Yeah. So I would say, as I'm applying for colleges, senior year of high school, in one ear, my parents are telling me, and I guess my teachers are telling me, you have to apply to these schools and get into like whatever program like a specific program.
Yeah, please do something real with your life.
Yes, like you better go to college and get this 4-year because it's going to set you up for success, right? Mm-hmm. But then on the other end, I'm like, I'm passionate about photography.
Yeah.
And connecting with people through that. So while I'm applying for colleges over here on this side, I'm shooting concerts every single Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And I had my driver's license then, so my parents were dropping me off. I was driving myself. And I was getting to the point where I'm like, if I want to make it, I got to do something that no one else is doing in the music scene. So I actually would, so I built a portfolio off of just shooting photos from the crowd.
Yep.
And then I connected with record labels and artists at the beginning of, like, when tours would be launched. Mm-hmm. And I would say, hey, I'm a Minneapolis kid. ready to shoot for you when you come through Minneapolis. I'll shoot for free. Like, give me a chance. And artists started reaching out to me saying, do you know what, we're going on tour. We'd love for you to be a part of it. Would you shoot us in in Minneapolis? And for some shows, I would get like a photo pass. But for some shows, I would literally go in the crowd and then figure out my way backstage. I would sneak backstage just so I could get the shot. Yeah. Because I knew when I went to college that my plan was to send out a portfolio of my work to agencies, record labels, and people in the music industry. Yeah. So then I could have a chance at possibly hopping on like a tour or something. Yep. And fast forward to like freshman year of college, moving into my dorm room, you know, the idea of like pursuing photography my freshman year of college. Freshman year of college, I went to University in North Dakota in Grand Forks. Yes. Where I didn't know that. Where it's like in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. So I'm moving in and, you know, getting ready to like start pursuing business and economics at University of North Dakota. And that week, like my first week of classes were like syllabi week, I think they call it, syllabus week. I got an email from like an incredible musician that I looked up to while I was building my portfolio. And that email gave me the confidence of like, I can do this full time. Not full time, but like I can do this and get paid for it. Yeah. Because up until that point, I was just going to concerts, spending my money, shooting for free, just to show people that I can add value. So my, I guess, first small break was getting an email from a guy named Ryan Lewis. And he's like, hey, just want to let you know, we love your work. We'd love for you to hop on a couple shows. And Ryan Lewis, I did my research, and he's the lead producer for Macklemore. So that was like, I remember calling my mom and saying like, Mom, look who reached out to me. And she's like, who's Macklemore, right? Yeah. But it wasn't until weeks after when he was on Ellen, that she called me and said, oh my gosh, all my friends are talking about it. This is so awesome. Yes. So I feel like that was like definitely a confidence booster. Yeah.
When your mom's friends are talking about it.
When my mom's friends, we're talking about it. But, you know, following that, a lot of other stuff came with the music, just industry in general. That gave me confidence of like, wow, people value my work. Yeah. My work was on Tumblr at the time and got a lot of like awesome activity. Yeah. And Instagram wasn't really a thing yet, so Twitter was. Mm-hmm. And I was able to grow like a 25,000 follower Twitter page. Yep. Just through working with musicians. Yeah. And that really gave me the confidence of like, wow, I can turn this passion of mine into something that could not only, I mean, it's not only fueling me in like connecting with people, but also it's something that's going to be able to help provide. Yeah.
How long did you stay at Grand Forks?
Yeah. So I spent 2 years there. Yep. I started a business there, which actually brought me to the U of M. It was a clothing company, but I was essentially going to school during the week. And on some weekends, I was coming back to Minneapolis shooting for music artists. Yep. So it just made sense to transfer to the U. Yeah. And going into my junior year of college is when I transferred to the U. And that's when I had like the first big opportunity in the music industry. Not saying that the Macklemore thing wasn't. That was just a few shows. Yeah. But I got asked by Republic Records out of California to go on a U.S. tour. Yep. And it was kind of funny because my sophomore year of college, I'm leaving Grand Forks to like move everything home to go to the U, right? Yeah. And my mom and my dad and like, I guess people are asking me like, what are you doing, you know, during the summer for jobs? And my mom is sending me landscaping jobs for Maple Grove. Yeah. And during that time, I got an email from Republic. Yeah. And they're like, hey, we want to bring you on a U.S. tour. It's like a 30-city stop tour with one of our R&B artists. So I took it, and I was on a tour.
You didn't do landscaping?
I didn't do landscaping. Ah. No, and I
think that's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I was pretty upset about it. Yeah. No, but on that tour, that was one of the like craziest moments for me. Mm-hmm. Because not only was I meeting all these people at every single city, but I was able to capture this tour for this musician. Yeah. And again, that helped me build my portfolio. Yeah. Man, which was awesome.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. Since college and to where you're at now, it feels like I mean, not feels like it has been. God's hand has been on your life in opportunity after opportunity after opportunity. And I know that that's the way you live your life too, is you're constantly talking about like, it's not really you that made this all happen. Like God's been helping behind the scenes, open up doors.
Yeah.
So it seems like, man, everything's been awesome.
Yeah.
Since then.
Yeah.
But I feel like you'd be superhuman if it's all been
Totally
amazing. You
Yeah.
know, what are some challenges of building business or even just in relationship with Sammy and just being married and, you know, trying to start something brand. Now you're the founder of a you know, company. Like, what are some of the challenges that you faced over since college? Because on the outside and everything that you just said is like, man, Paul's the luckiest guy in the world. It's amazing. I wish I had his life.
Yeah.
You know, but you know the challenge that you've walked through.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I would say, like, just to preface all this, I think from the beginning of college, he's been speaking to me. And there's a few things that I can bring up that are like, he was clearly speaking to you. And it kind of will come around full circle. But to start with, like, business stuff, as a photographer in college, there was times where I had like $10 at the U of M in my bank account. And I remember my mom texting me saying like, hey, can you take the bus to Maple Grove, which is like a 15-minute bus ride.
Yeah.
And me being like, I don't know if I have the money to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was because I was just hustling, trying to figure out how to build like a photography business, which is now paulwashere.com, while going to school studying an economics degree.
Yeah.
And there was, you know, a few points throughout college, where I'm like, I'm giving up. Like, I'm going to go turn in my photography equipment, calling it quits, like hanging up the shoes.
Here we come.
Like, yeah, I was all in. And
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody would think that. Like, man, Paul, while you're doing this 30 city tour and you're coming back and you've got $10 in your bank account.
Yep. Insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah. But a few things that kind of helped me get to where I am is in college, while I was in class, of course, paying attention all the time.
Yep.
Not really. I would reach out to brands that I really wanted to work with.
Yeah.
So although I started in music, I then really got interested in working with brands, especially like lifestyle brands.
Yep.
That I, you know, could feel like a real connection with. And I would go out and buy their product without even talking to them. So for example, take like a t-shirt company that is selling their stuff at like Urban Outfitters.
Yeah.
And I would go and buy like an entire collection of their items.
Yep.
And then I would come up with like a campaign and I would shoot it.
Yep.
And then the first time ever talking to them, I would shoot them the entire final product. And what I found was that by showing them value first, that they were like, wow, this guy is really invested in our brand.
Genius.
And that's kind of how I built my first couple clients.
Yeah.
And that's how I was able to get out of the hole with only having $10 in my checking account.
Yeah, crazy.
But yeah, I mean, with that being said, even through that process, a lot of the times I literally would like pull all-nighters just to try to figure out how I could get noticed by a brand. And a lot of the times that was, you know, focusing on the pitch process, which they don't really teach you in college.
Yeah. How to pitch.
So I was watching a lot of YouTube videos. I was learning a lot of programs in Adobe that like had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And it's just been really cool to see now those brands that I had pitched to in college are brands of mine today. Because they're like, do you know what? Wow. We remember that you did a free shoot for us at the beginning. Yeah. And we've been able to see you progress over time. And since working with them, you know, 3 years ago on a free project, I now have developed videography skills.
Yep.
So not only are we offering photography now, but also video. So that's kind of how I gained my first couple of clients.
Yeah.
Which is
value first.
Value first. Yep,
yeah.
Always. But also it's spending as much time on that brand as possible before even talking to them.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, what if I went to you and I asked you for something that was like, you know, kind of important to you? and I didn't take the time to invest into you as a person,
Yeah.
you're going to be like, who is this guy? Right.
Yeah.
So I approached brands, whether they were massive brands or your mom and pop shop, as if, they were people.
Yeah.
And that was a huge part of, kind of just how I built that first client base. But I would say that my work and the way that I do business transformed when I gave my life to Christ. And how that's kind of played out to be is, instead of me taking the credit for these clients and for the work that has come my way, I've been able to see clearer that He's putting these people in front of me for a reason. And it's not the monetary thing just comes with it.
Yeah.
So working with clients where I'm able to really be a light to them, pour into them,
Yep.
while shooting pretty photos and video, is just a bonus. So I would say that through that lens, by being able to just see how the Lord's transformed me as a photographer, is the reason why I now have a media company in the North Loop.
Yeah. Yeah, even the realization that God's been the one making this happen.
Totally.
And it's not you.
Yeah.
And that's most people, is like they start to see some success and it's like, because I've been grinding.
Totally.
Because I worked my tail off. I did the overnights. I did the $10 in the bank account deal.
Yeah.
But to have a realization that there's somebody above you that's helping orchestrate all of this, and that it's opening up doors. And no doubt does God use your all-nighters, but also God's the one that gives you ideas. I think when I look at you, I view you as like an idea guy, like God. And I've heard stories before, entrepreneurs, where it's like literally they'll have a dream, and it's like, I feel like God gave me this dream about this invention or this whatever, and they become multi-millionaires because they would say, literally, God gave me this dream, and I don't know if you feel that way with your ideas, but, I just saw recently you starting to do your own workshops, and so there's an idea of like, how do I multiply my skill into people? And so now you're offering workshops where people can sign up and join and learn how Paul Weaver does it. Yeah, totally. But how do you feel like it's like God literally giving you these ideas, these visions, or is it just how you were created from the beginning? Like just you're an idea guy?
Yeah, I would say with 100%. Like, I think you said something about how He's the one giving me these ideas. And I would say, before even kind of accepting Him in my life, now I look back at it and I can write down all the times where I'm like, He was speaking to me.
No way.
And just back to real quick, that tour that I was on, that U.S. tour, I came home, and underneath my pillow at home was a Hillsong CD at my parents' house. And my older brother, incredible human being, had literally put a Hillsong CD on my pillow, and the note on it said, you should start listening to this, pretty much, you should start listening to this music rather than the music you've been listening to. Just like straight up.
Straight up.
And that was clearly a message of the Lord saying, like, hey, you need to start pursuing me, because the music industry that I was working in was pretty secular.
Pretty tough, yeah.
Pretty tough. But then even fast forward, like a couple years, or a year or two, I'll just talk real quick on a story where I'm like, this is definitely the God giving me these ideas.
Yeah, please.
Whether I wanted to receive it or not. I was sitting in class in
I
college.
love that.
Yeah.
Whether you wanted these ideas or not, they came.
But I was sitting in class in college, and this is before going to River Valley.
Yep.
Like, this is before getting, water baptized at River Valley. He gave me this word, and he's like, I want you to go on Craigslist. And this was in November, I want to say like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was in a lecture of 300 people. And he's like, I want you to go on Craigslist, and I want you to search presents or need presents. I went on Craigslist, I searched need presents, and this sketchy Craigslist ad came up where it said, I'm a mom in Chicago and I'm in need of help. And I read that Craigslist listing, and this is like, while like, studying for like a lecture, like, what I mean, for an exam coming up. And this woman essentially had a Craigslist posting out saying, me and my daughter need help. Like, we have no money for presents. Christmas is a month away. Like, we're just praying out for help. And at that time, I'm like, what? Who is this? Like, what's going on here? Like, why am I even looking at this?
Yeah.
And I shot her a message. I shot her an email on my university email. And I said, hi, I'm Paul Weaver. And I just came across this ad. And I want to figure out how I can use my platform to help you. And within like 24 hours, she responded and said, I can't believe I can't tell if this is just another person emailing me, trying to harass me, trying to tell me that, that I'm desperate and I shouldn't be posting on Craigslist pretty much. Yeah. And I told her, I'm like, if you want me to like prove to you that I'm real, call me. So I'm like walking to my next class the next day, and she calls me and she's like, I just want to like know, like, are you actually trying to help me and my daughter? And she broke down in tears because she's like, I literally have nothing. And I know it would mean the world to me if my daughter had these presents from Target. So I hung up the phone and I got her to email me a list of all the exact items.
Yep.
And at that time I had told my mom, I had told my friends about this woman and like just how it went down.
Yeah.
And they thought that it was a scam.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what, for some reason I have this feeling in my gut that I have to ask out on Twitter, ask out on Facebook, and get people to donate presents. I kid you not, that week I went and opened up a P.O. box. I posted out on Twitter saying, here's the P.O. box that I opened up. It's in Minneapolis. Like, I am asking for gifts for this girl. And if you would be willing to donate like money or these like lists of gifts
yeah,
to her, you can send in my P.O. box. And like in return, I'll send you a picture of her on Christmas Day. And within a month, I got a call from the post office and they're like, hey, just want to let you know, like, what you're doing is not okay because there are so many presents here that you should have 10 P.O. boxes, which is insane because literally, like, people listened. And at the time, I wasn't posting out saying anything about, like, there wasn't any spiritual part about it, except for the fact now that I know that God was speaking through me. But I was able to deliver all those presents to them. And on Christmas Day, she sent me a photo of her daughter swimming in presents.
No.
And that's just one of many times where now I look back at it and I know that God was speaking to me and he wants me to use my platform in order to just love on others.
Yeah.
And
do you still have that photo of that little girl?
I still have that photo.
And if you wouldn't mind sending it to us, we'll put it in the show notes for people to see.
But I would just say, like, that is one of many times that I look back at where, I mean, the Lord has been speaking to me. And all that's not related to photography. It's not related to video.
Yeah.
It's just something that I want to share because it's like there's times where he's speaking to you in us, but we're not able to comprehend what he's exactly trying to tell us until later on. And that's just been a huge time after time that's been happening with me and my photography and just the way that I'm able to use my platform to pour into others.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the goal of now Activ Media, which is based out of the North Loop.
Yep.
Is although it's great connecting with brands on, a professional level to create pretty content, but it's the people that we get to meet through that, which fuels me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I genuinely believe that you have a gift from God that helps rally people around a cause. There's certain people that have that gift where if Paul's doing it and he's allowing us to do it with him, or making that call, like, hey, anybody want to send gifts to this P.O. box? Like, for some reason, you have that type of influence that people go, I want to do that with Paul.
Totally.
It's amazing. Yeah. So you should start a website that says, do this with Paul.
It's like Santa Claus or something, really.
Yeah, do this with Paul. And no, you have a gift that, like, when you include people, they're going to jump in with you, which is awesome. So just let me know what the next one is.
Absolutely.
I'm in, dude. For real.
That's amazing.
Seriously. I love it. What's for you and Sammy, husband and wife, what's some of the stuff that you guys are dreaming about for your future?
Yeah.
Obviously you got business dreams, you got marriage goals, you got family goals, you got
totally.
travel goals, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You guys have been all over the world, but
Yeah.
just stuff that you're dreaming about for your future.
Yeah. I would just say marrying a woman of God has been like the greatest journey of my life, and the greatest gift. When I got water baptized at River Valley, that was shortly after her inviting me to River Valley, right?
Yeah.
And her family, the way that they've loved on me, is the way that I want to love on my family.
Yeah.
And just her in general, she's such an incredible human being, growing up as a missionary's kid.
Yeah.
And now she's using her just her gifts in order to just pour into the industry of fashion has been incredible. But I would say just our journey together has been super, super awesome. Again, from meeting at that coffee shop to now living in the North Loop and attending River Valley and being leaders at we're able to serve at the church.
Yeah.
Has been super awesome. We feel like God's calling us to obviously something greater than the current season we're at.
Yeah. There's always more.
Yeah, always more. We went to Turkey last year on a missions trip, and he really put it clear on our heart that he wants us to, at some point in time, work with people that are in unreached people groups.
Yeah.
Which is super sweet because that's kind of her upbringing in childhood was kind of being in the field underneath her parents, which they were planting churches overseas. So yeah, I just feel like God's put it clear in our heart that people are attracted to us and people are going to kind of come around us.
Yeah.
Because we have some sort of, I guess we have some sort of gift that he's given us where we're really able to pour into them.
For sure. It's amazing. Yeah, so part of your calling in your future is making a difference in helping reach unreached people groups. And that could be traditional missions, or it could just be coming alongside. There are amazing missions organizations that are doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Even the first episode of this podcast was Beth.
Incredible.
Beth Kath, and she did that. She traveled the world with Live Dead, taking photos and all that. So
amazing.
Maybe, for sure that could be in your future.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's amazing.
Totally. Yeah.
Dude, thanks so much for being here today. Before we close out this, first of all, too, the reason you're here is because most people with your giftings and skill set and success and opportunity and exciting stuff ahead are not living the way you're living with the purpose behind it and also giving the credit, to God. And that's what I appreciate most about you is you have every reason to try to bring all the credit in, but you don't, and you give it, and you even give it to other people, There's I'll see you on Instagram. You're the happiest guy on Instagram too. Whether it's your Insta story or whatever, you ever see Paul being goofy on Instagram stories, and you're just hey guys, it's Monday, and just wanted to get on here and encourage you. Have the best Monday of all time. You know, you can do it. You say sometimes it's cliche lines happy go lucky, but somehow it's so genuine out of you.
Yeah,
and that you're all about other people, and lifting people up. And that's why you're on the podcast, because
that's amazing.
You're not like everybody else. Yeah. And I appreciate that about you. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me on it.
What's your favorite book of all time?
Yeah. Favorite book of all times. So I'm not a massive book reader. Growing up, I did the same book report every single year on Holes.
Holes.
Great book. I watched the movie once.
Shia LaBeouf, man. Come on.
But I would say Bob Goff Takes the Crown What Love Does.
Yeah.
Time after time, I meet people that will say, hey, you should read Bob Goff Love Does.
Yep.
And I would say that's a book that I read at least once a year.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
What a great book. You do have Bob Goff vibes for sure. Just the way that you're living your life. It's abnormal, even in the Christian world. It's abnormal. You're looking to love in ways that most people are not loving. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Love does. And one piece of advice to anybody following in your footsteps, maybe it's a high school kid that's trying to get his feet wet with photography, or maybe it's somebody that just started their own business and want to make it more than just them making money,
Yeah.
One piece of advice.
Yeah, I would say it's going to be easy to fall into comparison with others, especially if you're doing something that's in the creative scene. But if you are authentic to yourself, if you don't look to others, for what your identity is, and if you look to God for who He wants you to be, that's number one. But I would say also it takes hustle. It takes having $10 in your bank account. It takes, it really takes not sleeping. It takes working hours that not many other people are working in order to get to the point where you're able to, if you're going to try to start your own business, you're going to have to be in it for the marathon, not the sprint.
Yeah. It's great advice. It's amazing. Where can people find you?
People can find me
PaulWasHere.com.
Yeah, PaulWasHere.com is my website. Paul Wheat-Thins is my Instagram and Twitter handle.
Paul Wheat-Thins.
Paul
Classic.
Wheat-Thins. If you guys want to send me Wheat-Thins, I will eat them gladly.
That's great. Anything else?
Oh, man.
Activ Media, how do they find that?
Activ Media, you can go to weareactive.com.
Nice. How did you get that?
I have no idea.
It's amazing.
It's incredible. But yeah, weareactive.com is where you can find our media company.
Great. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
We love you.
Love you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, we'd love for you to subscribe to this channel. We've got new episodes releasing every single week. We'd also love to hear your questions or comments. You can comment below. You can also find us on Instagram at Exception Podcast. And I want to give a quick shout out to our producer, Tissel. My name's Kirk Graham, and we'll see you back next week.